Hey there guys, this is Obsidian Chill. Got another video for today. This is coming from the test server. This is the Atlantis DLC, the one coming out November the 8th. Now I will have videos, just like I did last DLC, showing off like the alert, the solo instance, the raid, stuff like that. New augments, stuff like that, what you have to get ready for. I will be doing a video like that, so stay tuned for all those. I wanted to focus on something first that I believe is a major issue for this DLC, one that's come up recently. Well, it just hit test server just the other day, but it was readily noticeable. I wouldn't say it's like DLC breaking. It's not that much of a concern, but considering that obviously the devs didn't think it was an issue because this is how it rolled out, and they initially said it's intended. I'll show some cuts of the forums here from maps, and then another dev has said they're looking into it now, but obviously they weren't prepared to make any changes, and considering that the DLC is scheduled to come out in 2 weeks and they've already said it, I don't know if a change is going to happen, and it's very impactful for everyone that plays the DLC. And what I mean by that is obviously you can see that I'm swimming. It's a flight variant. Like the DLC itself, like, don't get me wrong, like I'm not trying to be negative about the DLC, you know, and it just hit test server. DLC itself looks beautiful. I haven't had a chance to really focus on the raids. I've run them like maybe once and I hadn't even beat the first one because there was a bug in it. So I don't want to come off as being negative because obviously this is just the beginning of the testing. But how they did this in terms of swimming, like obviously Atlantis looks beautiful. You know, you got sharks above you, whales, eels. The Atlantis itself looks like obviously huge. Like the DLC itself looks beautiful. They did a great job with that. But the way they added swimming, obviously you can see I'm just kind of moving around. It's like a flight variant. Like I'm super speed on this character, so obviously I'm flying. It's a movement mode variant. Like that fun new, like, hey, we're swimming. Like that's when they showed it off in the preview. What they didn't account for was all the drawbacks that happens because we're swimming and because it's a movement mode and because they're treating it as a form transformation. So I'm going to go into that now and explain what the huge issues are. What honestly, there's a few things they can do about it, but it scares me a little bit more that they didn't see this coming and didn't think it was going to be a big deal. But I'll go into what I hear to do. So obviously I'm in one armory here. Now if I want to change armories, like say go to my single target or anything else like that, if I hit the button, you'll see you cannot activate a build while transformed. So I cannot change any single armory while I'm in this, you know, transformed mode of swimming. So that means you can't change an armory in open world. You can't change an armory in one of the raids. Now, Atlantis the Throne, I think it had a few moments where you're swimming, but really, it didn't really impact you that much. But Atlantis Crown of Thorns, the entire raid up to the point where it bugged was underwater. So that means running this raid, you cannot change armories whatsoever. That means, like, for this open world content, if you want to like tank or troll or heal the bounty, or you know, open world missions with a group or something like that, you can't change any armories in here. You're gonna have to each time, if you want to change like an armory, you're gonna have to warp back to the watchtower, change your armory, then go back to Atlantis to change to tank or control or heal for whatever weekly missions or bounty missions, or you're gonna be stuck in that role the entire time. You can't switch between AoE and single target builds. As you can see, I'm still out of combat. Like I can change my loadout, but you know that's not the same. Obviously, people have different loadouts for different things, especially for Prec DPS, Might DPS, AoE. Like think of like nature. I just did a nature video. I have 5 different loadout armories for nature. So that's the really big issue here. I'll show some raid footage here in a moment of the same thing and not working a raid. The raid is the bigger issue. Like open world, whatever. It's annoying that you can't change your armory, but at the same time, it's really going to only be impactful for the open world bounties, or you know, if you need to heal or something, you have to warp back to the watchtower and change your armory. But so you could get over that annoyance. But running a raid and elite raid is Crown of Thorns elite as well. So if you're running a raid and can't switch armories, you'll see that I've already done the raid up to where it was bugged before, so I didn't release it just because obviously there's no ending. But there's hallways you got to fight NPCs. There's bosses. So honestly, you can't just stick with one armory the entire time. You're gonna have like melee, because you can melee the ads in the hallway. There's some jellyfish that sting you and do some damage, but you could technically melee it. I didn't have a problem. And then the bosses you have to range. So you have to change between melee and range. Then you have there's single target, so you're gonna have single target build. You know, and not to mention support roles. So if you have a support role that dies and you can't get the res, no one else can switch. You can't switch to control. You can't switch to healer. You can't switch to tank. So in regular, you'd have to kill yourself and change your armory on the death rally timer just to be able to change a role in Crown of Thorns, the raid. So if you start and feel like you need a second Hank or the healer dies, no one can switch. They would have to warp to the watchtower, change, then be invited back to the raid just so you can change roles. And obviously I haven't had a chance to run Elite yet, but Elite's going to be the same thing. So in Elite, if the boss requires 2 tanks, like there's a lot of ads in the first fight, so you may want to separate the ads from the boss. I don't know, I haven't run it yet. But if you need a second tank, that second tank is going to have to start the raid and go all the tunnels. You're going to have to waste all the time where you could just have a DPS as a second tank or a second healer. And same thing in Elite. If you find you need a second healer during the fight, you can't switch roles. Or if the Elite healer dies, you can't switch to another healer. And you can't, in Elite, you can't really kill yourself and to change on the death rally timer, because that's your one free death. So that means you kill yourself once and the next time you're out. So not being able to change armories creates a lot of issues. A lot of issues that, and Meps in the forum said he doesn't think this is a crucial issue at all. He said, you know, swimming is a fun novelty. It was meant to be fun, and he doesn't see the issue of not being able to change armories. And he says it's not. There's no crucial content. I would say a raid, an Elite raid, is crucial, but that's just me. So there's another kind of 2 side effects of being swimming and being this flight transformation variant. So you see these soldiers, they're flying up in the air. There's multi-levels here. So as you can see, there's the ground there. I'm up here, so I'll fly down the bottom so you can kind of see. So I'm right at the bottom here. You can walk around, not in movement, but as soon as you go in movement, you'll start to float. If I go back up here. So if I stun them, like I'm just going to throw Briar at them because Briar's a stun. So if I stun them, now they drop to the ground. Then I've got to chase, because I'm in combat here, as you can see. So I got to chase this ad all the way down to the bottom, and you saw he just started to fly up to attack me. So it's like this aerial kind of like, you know, do-si-do tango that you're playing to try to kill ads in the air. Then I got to fly back up, try to kill this one, and if any move I do, I stun him. Now he's going to drop. Then I've got to chase him. Then I got to kill him. Oh, now he's got back. He broke out of the stun. Now he's flying. So it's, and then you just saw the cog drop. Now I've got to go all the way to the bottom to turn this cog. And then I've got to go all the way back up to the top to kill the next set of ads. So you can see the issue here. Anytime, because everyone's floating and it's treated as flight, if I put any kind of CC on them, it knocks them to the ground. It drops them out of the movement, and then they go back into the movement, and then it's like you're chasing DPS, you're chasing things all over the place. So the other issue is it really only affects obviously certain power systems that have form changes, specifically nature. So if I go into Wolf, as you can saw, like I'm fight here, if I go into Wolf, Wolf doesn't get to swim. Wolf is super speed. So if I'm in my movement, it just became infinitely harder for me to get around Atlantis. If I want to stay in Wolf or Gorilla or anything like that. Like, Atlantis was not meant to be going, like, you know, traversed as super speed or as acrobats with Gorilla. So that means if I wanted, like, once again, this is like a minor issue. Like, I don't have to be Wolf or Gorilla, but if I'm fighting like a bounty or something and go into it, then I've got to go out of Gorilla and then, like, say, go back into Gorilla or back into Wolf, just so I can fight or have the rest of my loadout. So once again, that's a minor inconvenience, but it just adds up. It's all part of the same problem, being, you know, flight being this transformation for swimming. How they're going to fix that? Honestly, I don't know. Open world, I don't see how really they could fix it, because this was obviously the easiest way for them to work it, or they would have done it a different way. In the raids, they're going to have to change that. There's no way we can do or there's no way we can expect it to do on a raid or elite raid, only being stuck to one armory the entire time. That's just not going to happen logistically. There's going to be times where support roles die in pugs or something like that. If no one can switch, then that's ridiculous. That's going to be an issue. They're going to have to change, the Throne of Crones or Crown of Thorns to not be swimming. They're going to have to do that, take that effect completely out of that raid, because as you'll see in the clip here, it's the same thing. I can't change any armories here. So this is what it is, guys. I'll show you all the other stuff that's coming out soon. This is just kind of what I wanted to get off my chest, like first impression wise. I'm not going to speak towards the raids or the difficulty. I'll do that in those raid videos. But so far, open world, looks amazing. Great concept. Just execution wise, there's a serious issue that I don't know what's going to happen in the 2 weeks they have to fix it.